I should turn this on so everyone can hear me. No?
Mike, I didn't see the minutes. I mean,
didn't see-
they weren't in the packet, were they? I couldn't find them.
Yeah, I didn't either.
They were in the packet I got.
Yeah, so they should have been in the packet, right?
Actually, hold on, maybe they're not.
Oh, did we miss the minutes in the packet?
I know there were two different versions of it, and I printed one of them, so the one I have does not have them.
Yep.
All right, then we'll hold that off till next meeting. So we'll move on to item 3, public comments and appearances. Since the gallery is completely packed, there's nobody here. So I don't think there's going to be any. So we'll move on to item 4, consideration and possible action on Park and Recreation Commission charter.
Okay, so we discussed the charter at the last meeting. We have gone back and made the changes as requested by the board. It was included in your agenda packet. So if there are not any questions or discussions, we would be looking for a motion to approve the charter as written for 2024.
So do we have a motion to approve the charter? Looking for a motion to approve the charter?
I move to accept the motion to approve the charter as changed.
All right, we have a motion by Jim Carrolls to approve the charter. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Tierney. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to, item 5, Chairman's Business. I have no business tonight, so move on to item 6, Members Liaisons Business. So first, Recreation Director, leave it to you.
Thank you. So I wanted to touch base, information and update on coverage for the Recreation Center and Senior Center. As was mentioned at our last meeting, the Recreation Center's administrative assistant is no longer with the department. Her job has been posted, and we are officially in search for a new administrative assistant. Our program director at the Recreation Center is on medical leave, and our program manager at the Senior Center is retiring as of Friday. We had her retirement luncheon this afternoon. And so again, I want to thank her for her 25 years of service to the community and all of the sacrifices that her and her family have made for the community. We are working to get that job posted, and once the job description and everything is approved, we will also begin our search and recruitment for a new Senior Center director. In the meantime, we have been working as a staff to put together a kind of a combined calendar of programs and events that we have kind of completed. We always have ongoing programming, so those types of programs operate kind of on their own, and then we have special events and cyclical programming that changes throughout the year. So that calendar has been put together as a template for staff to ensure that planning for all of these different things, due to a significant decrease in coverage, continues to operate and be planned for and run in high quality and effectively for the community. So we don't anticipate any significant lapses in programming or events. The Senior Center, for example, will remain open as normal. We do not expect any lapses in coverage or normal operating hours for that. The pool will not close early. We will maintain normal operating hours for the pool, and all rec programming as well will continue to operate as scheduled. Something that may change come fall. We are still working on details, but to ensure that there are office hours from staff member at the senior center, as that building is open to the public all day long, is the recreation director will have office hours at the senior center more regularly come September. We're looking at what that might look like, and we'll have those hours posted for the community so they know how it will affect the recreation center building, as well as anybody looking for assistance at the senior center once those hours have been officially adopted.
All right. Yeah.
Tyler, just a quick question. Will someone from the rec department staff be dropping by every day? Or, I'm just curious because that's an old building, and I'm just wondering, is that, and the other question was kind of tied to it, is it going to be clear to the people that are there where they call if there's an issue, and, is that posted somewhere, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so in terms of office hours at the senior center, we have ways of forwarding phones onto the other buildings. So when one building isn't being staffed, phones would be forwarded on to the other location. So phones can be answered at all normal business hours. As far as checking the building routinely, there isn't going to be any kind of mail forwarding or anything like that. So there will still be daily needs, such as picking up mail, checking. The recreation department has a drop box, so that way people can drop off registration forms. The senior center doesn't have that, so registration forms still may be dropped off at the rec department. So we would need to check that daily as well to ensure that people are getting into the programs they're signing up for. During those standard kind of daily tasks, we would also do a walkthrough of the building. The pool especially, they're like weekly, we usually will turn the turbines on the motors for the pool throughout the winter and things like that. So all of those things will still be taken care of throughout the transition.
All right. So that's it for 6AA. You have something for 6AB, information on program statistics and program report?
Yeah, so program statistics and the program report were noted in your agenda packet. If there's no questions on those, we can move forward on to the next piece of information. But the major highlight on the program report is that just the program managers have taken medical leave and will be transitioning with some of those coverages. Some of our fall programs summer programs are wrapping up. Our summer theater of Heathers was a awesome success again. We've gotten a lot of really positive feedback on that, and fall program guide is going to be coming out in the next week or two.
All right. Are there any questions on that for the recreation director? Seeing none, we'll move on to 6AC, information on fall activity guide release date.
Yep. So as I mentioned with the program report, the fall activity guide has been sent to print today. So as soon as we get that back, that program guide will be released to the public. I would expect that sometime next week for that activity guide to come out. And then many of our fall programs will be available to be registered for once that guide comes out.
All right. Any questions for the recreation director? Then we'll move on to item 6B, Parks and Forestry Superintendent. Item A, update and discussion on Kiwanis Rotary Park project.
Apparently, I'm supposed to tell you I'm John Sigwart, District 7, 230 West Ty Street, even though there is no East Ty Street. About a year and a half ago, Sally Shirk Ehrlich, which was Paul Ehrlich's second wife, passed away. She was a lover of the beach, always seeked out Adirondack chairs wherever they were in Florida. She would a sun worshiper, that would be an understatement. She was a very active Kiwanis member, beginning in Iron Mountain, where she was president, and also coming down here, became a lieutenant governor in our district. Those of you that knew Sally, I hope some of you did, maybe a couple, Mike did, a very vivacious redheaded lady that always brought energy to the club, energy to her projects, energy to everything. And when she passed, her family, Paul had 7 children, and Sally had, I think, 2, maybe 3, not positive. They wanted to do something for Kiwanis. So the memorial that was given at her visitation was collected by the family and turned over to Kiwanis. Our foundation has pledged to match that. I haven't told you what the project is yet, but our intention is that through donations, we will pay all the material costs for this project at Rotary Park. John Crane and I sort of agreed on the site. And if you can picture where we're working right now on the Centennial Pavilion, just southeast of there, there's a little knoll. And that little knoll would be a site for 4 Adirondack chairs, probably set on an octagonal pattern with room between them for wheelchairs and or walkers. And we would create an ADA ramp from the west side of the Centennial Pavilion up to that location. John even suggested, we might do pavers, we might do whatever John wants to do. But we would pay for all the material costs if the city would be willing to install it as a project in 2025. John and I talked about this quite a while ago, and he was just so dang busy this year, unfortunately. It would have been a terrible year to try to do a project like this, only because rain didn't stop in June, July. And the grass didn't stop growing. I went from cutting it twice a week until now I haven't cut it for 2 weeks. Bottom line here is it would be a pretty simple project. I'm thinking somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 in material cost. We haven't done an estimate yet, but John and I are going to sit down and do that. We might even bring in a connection for a future fire pit that would be buried, where if we ever get gas to Rotary Park, might be an opportunity to have a fire pit within this area. What I really like about it is that it's in the sun. It's not in the way of any planned activities for Rotary Park. As far as the recreation department, when they do their weddings, it goes to the northwest, really. And that area is just left pretty much as it is. I don't think it would be at all obtrusive. And when we first talked about this about a year ago, I talked to the bank, and the bank is certainly willing to participate with this also. If I correct, John, I took a look at some really good Adirondack chairs that could be anchored. They're about $500 a piece, okay? So that plus the concrete, pavers, grading, et cetera, beautification, whatever it turns out to be, we'll probably have something approaching a $10,000 project. So again, material costs covered by donations, if the city could provide the labor at that site. And again, this is Rotary Park. We don't have Kiwanis Park. We have a shelter in Upper Lake Park, or a pavilion, but this would be strictly a nice addition where we don't have any ADA facilities in Rotary Park. Rotary Park is by far my favorite park. I had a Sheltie for a number of years, and her and I walked that park pretty much daily. And as I've gotten older, it's smaller than Coldock Park. It's a lot easier to walk. But it's a popular project with Kiwanis, and I think we can certainly raise the money for it. So, questions? It would be a memorial for Sally on one of the chairs. I've talked to Paul about it as recently as Sunday at his 92nd birthday party in Upper Lake Park. He's pretty excited about it, and I think that the family is definitely excited about it. They all want to participate. So if it's something that the rec board would find a good addition, we would really be honored to make it happen. Questions? pretty straightforward. I don't think there's anything really tricky here. What I really like about it is we probably put the Adirondack chairs at the ordinal points, north, south, east, west, have gaps between them for wheelchairs or walkers or whatever, people that aren't very mobile. So I think it's a good addition to a park that is, other than that, pretty ADA accessible, except getting up to the tables, for example, on the east part of the park, isn't. But this would be an area where people could sit, they could have a sandwich, they could talk. Okay. Questions? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
From my end, I'll just add in that on our staff, this is, I think this would be something that wouldn't impact us very strongly with the equipment and staff that we have. This would be a pretty easy project that wouldn't impact a lot of labor or pull us away from anything else. So I do support the project.
Are we looking for approval on this tonight? Or is this just purely a discussion item?
So this is on the agenda as a discussion item. If there's no questions or anything else the board would want to see, then the next steps would be for us to draft some plans and get a memo put together and bring it back for an action in the future.
That was I guess that was the question I was going to ask, just, so the planning, like drawing up the specs, would you guys do that, John, or pay for it, or would we do it in-house? That's,
Between John and I, we would do it. It's really pretty straightforward.
yeah, it's not a,
We don't have a lot of,
Yeah, we can lay out the location, exactly what's going to be done. And like you said, we can look into what are the possibilities of, for a future date, if we're going to want to add a gas fire place there or something. That's something that we would just run conduit under, or a line under, which is easy enough to do. But yeah, moving forward, we can work together. We can present a plan and show you exactly how it's going to lay out and what impact it'll have on the park. And from there, we can make a decision, or you can make a decision.
Yes, our next meeting will be the second Wednesday in October at 6 p.m.
One quick question. How big of a footprint is this approximately?
certainly no bigger than 20 feet. In other words, it would be a seating area for 4 Adirondack chairs, that's on an octagonal. That's how I look at it, John and I haven't talked. Whatever the easiest.
We can measure it out, and that way, everybody can get a visual on it too, because we'll
mic's
go to
off.
the site. I'm sorry. We'll go to the site and kind of lay it out and take some measurements on the chairs and figure all that out so everybody can see what the impact would be.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on this item from anyone? I'm a Kiwanian, so I'm maybe a little self-interested on the project, so I'll refrain on that and let you guys.
I'm a
have any comments.
non-Kiwanian, and
think you can
I think it
discuss
sounds
it.
good.
Well,
You're
I can
not
discuss it.
voting.
I suppose.
Yeah, I think
You're
it
not
sounds
trying
like
to
a good
sway
idea.
anybody.
Right.
Little things like that, I think, add a lot to parks. It just makes it a nicer place to go
And that
visit.
park is so heavily used. It's one of our most used parks, so that's, I don't think it's eating up any green space either.
Okay. Well, then I'll hope that we'll see some preliminary plans so we can approve it, or have the potential to approve it at our next meeting. All right. Do we have anything else for Parks and Forestry?
I have my superintendent report, but with respect to everybody's time, we do have the park tour today, so I have bulleted everything that we've been working on. You guys have had a chance to look things over. I've added some pictures, but I don't want to go through everything. I can certainly answer any questions. If anybody has any questions with what we've been doing, you can see, I encourage all of you to visit Kolbach Park. We have made a number of changes on that park, and just this week we started another path. The path is all dug out and laid from Jefferson up to the pavilion, and we're also adding extended patio there where we're going to put a grill out there for people. And so that park project has been one of the best successes that I've seen as far as usage increase. People are just raving about it. So
Yeah, living over by it, I can't believe how many people play pickleball.
yeah,
I can't drive past it without seeing somebody playing. So
yeah.
kudos.
We are going to make, the only issue we've had is that the lights are a little bright, and we're working on that. Some of the building security lights, we're gonna change and adjust that. The way they make lights now, they're just, it's easy to overbuy the bright ones, you know. So anyway, you kind of learn on that. So we've got a few adjustments to make on that, but otherwise, that's been a great success. Forestry will be kicking up again soon, as far as our fall planting. And the exciting news on forestry, and I have worked with JD, we're gonna be able to have 2 crews going this year. It's always been a struggle with us to keep up with pruning, because we have our 1 forestry crew and 1 chipper. So we get pulled for other projects, not only removals, everything else, other projects, forestry projects that we're working on, grant projects, whatnot. But this year, we're going to dedicate 1 crew that is just going to be doing pruning. So that's going to allow us to start getting closer to getting on a regular cycle of pruning. And we don't have that many. Our removal numbers are going way down now that all the ash trees are pretty much dead, except for the ones we treated, which are still staying alive. So that's good. All right. Does anybody have any questions for me on anything within the what I've listed here?
All I have to say is all the parks look really nice. Very nice.
Any additional comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 7, public comments and appearances. We do now have someone in the gallery. No? No, nothing to add. All right. So for those at home, we are doing our annual park tour tonight, which is going to consist of visiting Upper Lake Park Area 6, Windrush Park, Westport Meadows Park, Shannon Acres Park, City Park in Gasky Woods, and Oakland Green Park. So we're going to be concluding our live portion of the meeting here while we go and do the tour, and we will adjourn at the meeting, or at the park, so that won't be included on the video here. But we'll hit point 9 right now. Our next meeting is scheduled to be Wednesday, October 9th, 2024 at 6 p.m. here at the Common Council Chambers. So that said, I guess we will move on to the park tour. And thank you, everybody, for watching.